I always thought promises meant something in my family. That's what made the betrayal cut so deep when I found out exactly how little my parents' word was worth. My name is Angelina, and until 3 months ago, I was the good daughter, the responsible one who did everything right. I got straight A's through college, landed a great job as a financial analyst, and saved every penny I could. While my older brother Jesse bounced between failed startups and relationships, I built a life that should have made any parent proud. When you're ready to buy a house or get married, we'll give you $250,000 as a gift, my father had said on my 25th birthday, Mom nodding beside him. We've set it aside specially for you, Angel. I remembered how they'd made me sign acknowledgment papers. Just for tax purposes, they'd said. I'd been touched by their thoroughness, their commitment to keeping promises in writing. 6 years later, I finally found the perfect house, a charming colonial with good bones that needed some TLC. At $575,000, it was a stretch, but with my savings and their promised help, I could make it work. It's absolutely perfect, I told my best friend Carmen over coffee. There's this gorgeous kitchen with space for an island. I already picked out this amazing geometric backsplash tile. Have you told your parents yet? Carmen asked, stirring her latte. I'm seeing them tonight, bringing the listing photos and everything. That afternoon, I was mindlessly scrolling through Instagram when I saw it. My finger froze mid swipe. There, on my brother's ex wife Valerie's page, was a photo of her standing in a newly renovated kitchen with my exact backsplash tile. My stomach dropped. I zoomed in, hands shaking. The distinctive pattern was unmistakable, the same sample I'd accidentally left at my parents' house 2 weeks ago during Sunday dinner. I called my mother immediately. Mom, are you home? We need to talk. Of course, sweetie. Everything okay? You sound upset. I'll be there in 20 minutes. The drive to their house felt endless. When I pulled up, both their cars were in the driveway. Dad opened the door before I could knock. Angel, what's wrong? I stormed past him into the living room where Mom sat in her favorite armchair, looking concerned but composed, too composed. Want to explain why Valerie's kitchen has my backsplash tile? I pulled up the Instagram post. The exact sample I left here? Mom's face tightened. Angelina, sit down. No, tell me what's going on. Dad cleared his throat. Your brother needed help getting back on his feet for the baby's sake. What does that have to do with my tile sample? We gave Valerie the money we'd set aside, Mom said quietly, for a down payment on her house. Jesse's living there part-time now to be closer to the baby. The room started spinning. The money you promised me, my $250,000? You have to understand, Dad began, but Mom cut him off. Valerie gave us a grandchild, Angelina. What have you done? I stared at her, ice flooding my veins. What have I done? I've done everything you ever asked of me. I followed every rule, met every expectation. And yet here you are, 31 and alone, Mom snapped. No husband, no children, nothing to show for it except a job that keeps you too busy for family. I pulled out my phone, hands trembling as I opened my photos. Remember this? I thrust the screen at them, a picture of the signed letter promising me the money. You made this promise in writing. Things change, Dad said weakly. Family needs must come first. I am your family, I screamed, my voice cracking, or at least I thought I was. Mom stood, smoothing her skirt. When you give us grandchildren, then we can discuss your place in this family. Something snapped inside me. Years of being the good daughter, of swallowing their criticism, of watching Jessie get endless second chances. It all crystallized into perfect burning clarity. Then I guess I owe you nothing either, I said, my voice deadly calm. No visits, no calls, no grandchildren, ever. Angel, don't be dramatic. Dad reached for my arm. I jerked away. My name is Angelina, and you made your choice very clear. As I walked to my car, I heard Mom call after me, "You're acting like a child." I turned back one last time. "No, Mother, I'm acting like someone who just realized their whole family is a lie." Driving home, my phone buzzed with texts from both of them. I ignored them all. But when I saw Valerie's kitchen photo again, something clicked. The backsplash wasn't just a tile pattern anymore. It was a declaration of war. And if they thought the good daughter would go quietly, they were about to learn just how wrong they were. I spent the next 3 days ignoring calls and planning my next move. When Carmen showed up at my apartment with takeout and a bottle of wine, I finally broke down. They just gave it away, like I meant nothing. I stabbed at my pad thai, and the way Mom threw it in my face about not having kids. Carmen set down her wine glass. "We need to look at that promise letter again." I pulled it from my desk drawer. Crisp white paper, signatures clear as day. Carmen, being a lawyer, read it carefully. "This isn't just a casual note, Ang. This is a legally binding promissory note. They had it notarized and everything." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying they can't just give away promised money without consequences, especially not when there's documentation." My phone buzzed. Another text from Mom. "We need to talk about this like adults." I showed Carmen the message. She raised an eyebrow. "Ready to face them?" "With you there?" "Absolutely." We arrived at my parents' house an hour later. Mom opened the door, her fake smile faltering when she saw Carmen. "I didn't realize you were bringing company. Carmen's here as my lawyer, not my friend." Dad appeared behind Mom. "Lawyer? Angel, this is family business." "Family business stopped when you gave my money to Valerie," I said, walking past them into the living room. Carmen spread documents on the coffee table. "Let's discuss the promissory note you both signed in 2017. Mom's face hardened. "That was different. Circumstances change." "Legal obligations don't," Carmen replied smoothly. "The note specifically states the money was earmarked for Angelina's future home purchase." "We had to think about the bigger picture," Dad insisted. "Jesse's child." "Is Valerie's responsibility too," I cut in. "Where was this concern when Jesse left her last year?" "He's changed," Mom said. "They're working things out for the baby. With my money." "Money we set aside," Mom snapped. "Our money to use as we see fit." Carmen leaned forward. "Not according to this document. You made a legal promise." "Oh, please." Mom waved her hand dismissively. "Angelina, this is beneath you? Using lawyers against your own parents? Using my brother's ex-wife against your own daughter." Dad tried his diplomatic approach. "Angel, try to understand. A grandchild changes everything. Family legacy." "Stop calling me Angel!" I slammed my hand on the table. "And stop pretending this is about family. This is about control." Mom stood, arms crossed. "This is about responsibility." Valerie stepped up. "She gave this family a future. What have you done except work 60-hour weeks and avoid settling down?" "I built a life I'm proud of," I said, my voice shaking. "I never needed your approval, but I thought I had your respect." "Respect?" Mom laughed coldly. "You want respect. Give us grandchildren. Give us something to be proud of besides spreadsheets and overtime." The room went silent. Carmen's pen stopped scratching. "Mrs. Zimmerman," Carmen said quietly, "are you stating that you withheld promise funds because my client chose career over motherhood?" Mom's face flushed. "I'm stating that family obligations are not legally defined by reproductive choices," Carmen finished. "This conversation has been very illuminating." I stood up, gathering the papers. We'll be in touch through legal channels. You're really going to sue us? Dad asked, looking stricken. Your own parents? You're really going to pretend you're victims here? I countered. After what you did? Mom stepped toward me. Everything we've done has been for this family's future. No, I said. Everything you've done has been for the future you wanted to force on me. But guess what? My future is my choice. As we headed for the door, Mom called out, "When you're a mother, you'll understand." I turned back one last time. When you're a decent human being, maybe you'll understand why I'm doing this. In the car, Carmen squeezed my hand. You okay? No, I admitted, but I will be. My phone buzzed with a text from Jessie. Mom's hysterical. What did you do? I typed back, ask your ex-wife. She's apparently more family than I am. Carmen started the car. Want to know the best part about all this? What? Their defense basically amounts to, we broke our promise because she won't have babies. No judge is going to look kindly on that. I leaned back in my seat, feeling drained but somehow lighter. They really thought I'd just accept it, didn't they? That I'd be the good daughter and swallow another betrayal. Well, Carmen smiled grimly, they clearly don't know the real you. No, I said, watching my childhood home disappear in the rearview mirror, but they're about to. That night I got one final text from Mom. You're breaking your father's heart. I replied, you broke your promise. We'll let a judge decide which is worse. Then I blocked their numbers and opened my laptop. If they thought the good daughter would disappear quietly into the night, they had another thing coming. It was time to show them exactly what their spreadsheet-loving, overtime-working daughter could do when pushed too far. The war had officially begun. After a week of radio silence from my family, I decided to confront Jesse directly. I knew his schedule. Every Thursday morning he got coffee at the same pretentious cafe downtown. Today he wouldn't be able to dodge me. I spotted him at his usual table, scrolling through his phone. He looked up as I approached, his expression a mix of guilt and annoyance. We need to talk, I said, sitting down without invitation. Look, Ang, this isn't a good time. When is it ever? I cut him off. You've been avoiding my calls for weeks. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. What do you want me to say? Mom and Dad made their decision. Their decision? You mean the one where they gave my promised money to your ex-wife? Valerie needed help, he said defensively. For the baby, your responsibility. I leaned forward. Tell me something, Jesse. Did you know about this beforehand? His silence was answer enough. Wow. I sat back. So you knew they were going to screw me over and said nothing. It's not that simple. Actually, it is. You saw an opportunity to fix your mess with someone else's money, and you took it. A barista approached with Jesse's order. He waited until she left before speaking again. You don't understand what it's like having a kid to think about. No, you don't understand what it's like being the responsible one who gets punished for it. I pulled out my phone. Carmen suggested I check something interesting today, the family trust records. Jesse's face went pale. Public records are fascinating, I continued, like how the trust was amended 3 months ago. Want to guess what I found? I'm not in it anymore. My voice was steady despite the rage burning inside. You're the sole inheritor now. When did that happen, Jesse? Before or after you convinced them to give Valerie my money? He wouldn't meet my eyes. Mom and Dad thought, with the baby? Right, the baby, the magical get-out-of-jail-free card. I stood up. You know what's funny? I always defended you when they complained about your screw-ups, said you'd grow up eventually. I have grown up, he protested. I'm taking responsibility. No, you're taking my money. There's a difference. My phone buzzed. A text from Carmen. Got the court date. Next month. Jessie saw the message. You're really suing them? Did you think I wouldn't? It's just money, Ang. No, I said. It's betrayal, and you're just as guilty as they are. As I turned to leave, he grabbed my arm. Wait, maybe we can work something out. I could talk to Valerie. I jerked away. Don't bother. I'm done being the family ATM. Outside, I called Carmen. You were right about the trust. Complete disinheritance? Yep. Apparently, producing a grandchild trumps 30 years of being the perfect daughter. This actually helps our case, Carmen said. Shows a pattern of financial discrimination based on your reproductive choices. I watched through the cafe window as Jessie made a call, probably to our parents. They really thought I wouldn't find out. People who are used to control never expect resistance, Carmen replied. How are you holding up? I paused, watching Jessie gesture frantically into his phone. I'm done being their backup plan. Good, because we have another interesting development. Valerie's renovation costs way more than $250,000. That caught my attention. What are you saying? I'm saying someone supplemented that down payment recently. Want to guess who? My hand tightened on the phone. Pull the records. I already did. Your parents transferred another $100,000 to Valerie last week. The final piece clicked into place. This wasn't just about the baby or Jessie. This was about erasing me completely. Carmen, I said, remember that housewarming party idea we discussed? The fake one? To get them all in one place? Let's do it. But first, I watched Jessie leave the cafe, still on his phone. I think it's time I had a chat with Valerie. Be careful, Carmen warned. We don't want to tip our hand. Trust me, I said, already pulling up Valerie's contact info. I think she might be more interested in the truth than anyone expects. After hanging up, I sent Valerie a simple text. We need to talk about where that money really came from. Her response came quickly. Finally, someone else who sees through their games. I smiled, remembering how Mom used to criticize Valerie for being too direct and unladylike. Maybe that directness was exactly what I needed now. Coffee tomorrow? I texted back. Make it wine, she replied. This conversation needs alcohol. Looking at her response, I felt something shift. Maybe the perfect daughter was dead, but from her ashes, something stronger was rising, and this version of me didn't play by their rules anymore. Valerie chose a wine bar far from our usual family haunts. Smart woman. When I arrived, she was already there, looking nothing like the polished Instagram photos she posted for my parents' benefit. You look different, I said, sliding into the booth. Yeah, well, keeping up appearances is exhausting. She waved the server over. Bottle of Malbec, please. We're going to need it. Once our glasses were full, she got straight to the point. So, you finally figured it out. The money? Or the fact that my entire family conspired behind my back? Both. She took a long sip. Though to be fair, I didn't know it was your money at first. When did you find out? After the first transfer. Jessie let it slip during an argument. She pulled out her phone, scrolling through texts. Want to see something interesting? She handed me her phone. There were dozens of messages from Jessie, all promising the same things: reconciliation, family stability, a fresh start. He used the baby to convince your parents, she said. Kept talking about giving them the perfect family image they always wanted. And you went along with it? At first, yes. She didn't flinch from my accusation. I'm a single mom, Angelina. When someone offers you financial security, you think twice before saying no. But your brother hasn't changed. She pulled up a photo on her phone. Jesse on a beach with a blonde I didn't recognize. This was last weekend. He was supposed to have Tommy, but dropped him with your parents last minute. My stomach churned. When was this taken? 3 days ago. Want to know the best part? That money they gave me? Jesse's been trying to get me to loan him half of it. For what? His latest startup idea. Something about cryptocurrency. She rolled her eyes. When I refused, he started threatening to contest custody. I felt a headache building. Does Mom know about the new girlfriend? Please, your mother's too busy planning Tommy's future to notice Jesse's present. Valerie poured more wine. You know what's ironic. They hated me before the baby. Now they're throwing money at me while Jesse dates his way through Instagram models. They gave you more than just my money, didn't they? She nodded. Another 100 grand last week. Said it was for Tommy's future, but... She hesitated. But what? Jesse told me it was to keep me quiet about his new relationship. Said your parents would write me into the family trust if I played along. The pieces clicked together. That's why they wrote me out. They're replacing me with you. Bingo. She pulled out a folder. And here's the proof. Inside were bank statements, text messages, and photos. A paper trail of manipulation that made my blood boil. Why are you showing me this? Because I'm tired of being their puppet. She met my eyes. And because what they did to you was wrong. My phone buzzed. A text from Jesse. Mom says you're meeting Valerie. Don't believe anything she says. I showed it to Valerie. She laughed bitterly. Classic Jesse, always trying to control the narrative. She pulled up another photo on her phone. Look what your mother sent me yesterday. It was a picture of Tommy in my old nursery, now converted to a playroom. The caption read, Our Real Legacy. They're erasing you, Valerie said softly, just like they tried to erase me before Tommy. Why tell me all this now? Because I heard you're taking them to court. She smiled, and for the first time I saw why Jesse had fallen for her. There was steel behind that smile. And I want to help. Why? Because Tommy deserves better than their manipulative version of family. And because, she hesitated, because you're the only one who ever treated me like a person, not just a vessel for their precious grandchild. I remembered all the times I defended Valerie at family dinners, how I'd been the only one to visit her in the hospital after Tommy was born. Carmen, my lawyer, is building a case, I said carefully. Your evidence would help. Use it all. She pushed the folder toward me on one condition. What's that? When this is over, we rewrite the story. Not their version, not Jesse's version, ours. My phone buzzed again. Mom this time. Whatever Valerie's telling you is a lie. She's unstable. Valerie saw the message and laughed. Unstable? I'm not the one buying grandchildren with stolen money. I looked at the folder, then at Valerie. I'm having a housewarming party next week, fake one, to get them all in one place. Want to help make it memorable? Her smile turned wicked. Thought you'd never ask. As we clinked glasses, my phone lit up with one more text from Jessie. She's playing you, sis. I showed it to Valerie. She pulled out her phone and took a selfie of us together, both smiling, wine glasses raised. Send it to 'em, she said. Let's show them what happens when the puppets cut their strings. I did better than that. I sent it to the whole family group chat with one caption, Game on. The luxury Airbnb I rented for the housewarming was exactly the kind of house my mother would approve of. All high ceilings and marble countertops. Beckett, my real estate agent friend, helped stage it perfectly. Your mother will definitely believe you bought this, he said, arranging fresh flowers on the kitchen island. It's very you trying to please them. That's the point. I checked my phone. Carmen's bringing the paperwork at 8. Everyone else arrives at 7. You sure about this? Beckett asked, adjusting a family photo I'd strategically placed me with my parents from happier times. Watch this, I said, pulling up my messages. I'd sent a group text that morning. Can't wait to show everyone my new home tonight. Some exciting announcements to share. Mom had responded immediately. Wonderful news, sweetie. Did you reconsider our discussion about family? Let them think what they want, I told Beckett. The truth will be much more interesting. The doorbell rang at exactly 7. Showtime. Mom arrived first, carrying an expensive-looking vase. Angel, the house is gorgeous. Thanks, Mom. I accepted her air kiss. Dad coming? Right behind me, Jessie too. She looked around eagerly. Any other special guests we should expect? Before I could answer, Valerie walked in, Tommy on her hip. Mom's face froze. Hope you don't mind, Valerie said sweetly. Angelina insisted we come. Dad and Jessie arrived moments later. Jessie stopped short when he saw Valerie. What's she doing here? It's my party, I reminded him. I invite who I want. Mom pulled me aside while Beckett offered everyone drinks. Darling, is there something you want to tell us? Perhaps about reconsidering your priorities? Oh, I've definitely reconsidered some things, I said. Just wait for the announcement. Jessie cornered Valerie by the appetizers. I moved closer to listen. You shouldn't be here, he hissed. Why not? Afraid I'll mention your girlfriend. Valerie's voice carried just enough for Mom to hear. What girlfriend? Mom demanded. Jessie paled. It's nothing, Mom. Valerie's just telling the truth. Valerie finished, pulling out her phone. Want to see the beach photos? The doorbell rang again. Carmen walked in carrying a leather briefcase. Perfect timing, I said loudly. Everyone, please sit down. Time for that announcement. Mom beamed, probably expecting engagement news. Dad looked nervous. Jessie couldn't stop staring at Carmen's briefcase. First, I began, I should clarify something. This isn't my house. What? Mom's smile faltered. It's an Airbnb because my actual house down payment was given away to Valerie. Angel, we discussed this. No, you dictated it, but now it's my turn. I nodded to Carmen, who began distributing documents. These are court summons. You're being sued for breach of contract. The room erupted. Dad started stammering about family matters. Jessie jumped up, pointing at Valerie. You helped her with this, didn't you? Actually, Valerie said calmly, I'm helping her prove how you manipulated everyone, including me. Mom stood shaking. This is ridiculous. We gave that money to secure our family's future. No, I corrected her. You gave it to control your children, but here's what you didn't expect. I pulled out Valerie's folder. We have proof of everything. The trust changes, the extra payments, Jessie's lies. You're choosing this over family? Dad asked quietly. No, Dad. You did that when you chose Jessie's mistakes over my loyalty. Carmen cleared her throat. My client has an excellent case. The promissory note was legally binding, and we have evidence of discrimination based on reproductive choices. This will ruin us, Mom whispered. Like you tried to ruin me, I countered, by erasing me from the family trust. Jessie lunged for Valerie's phone, but Beckett stepped between them. Don't, he warned. Those photos are already backed up. Mom turned to Valerie. After everything we've done for you? You mean using me to punish your daughter? Valerie bounced Tommy on her hip. Sorry, but I'm done being your moral shield. The court date is next month, Carmen announced. I suggest you all get lawyers. Angel, please. Dad tried one last time. We can work this out. I walked to the door and held it open. My name is Angelina, and this party is over. As they filed out, Mom paused. You'll regret this. No, I said. I regret not doing it sooner. After they left, Valerie high-fived me. Their faces when Carmen pulled out those papers. Think they'll fight it? Beckett asked. Carmen smiled. They can try, but with our evidence, they don't stand a chance. I looked around the staged house at the fake, perfect life I created for one night. You okay? Beckett touched my arm. Yeah, I said, surprising myself by meaning it. For the first time in years, I really am. My phone buzzed with a text from Jessie. You've destroyed this family. I typed back, no, I just stopped letting it destroy me. Then I turned my phone off and poured champagne for my real family, the ones who stood by me tonight. The war wasn't over, but the first battle, that was definitely mine. The courthouse felt colder than I expected. Carmen adjusted my blazer as we waited outside the courtroom, her presence steadying my nerves. Remember, she said, let them talk themselves into corners. Your parents' lawyer will try to make this about family loyalty instead of broken contracts and discrimination. Exactly. She checked her watch. Ready? I spotted my parents walking down the hall with their lawyer. Mom wore her best wronged mother expression, while Dad looked like he'd aged 10 years. Jessie trailed behind them, avoiding my eyes. Valerie arrived last, Tommy with a babysitter for the day. She squeezed my hand as she passed. Give them hell! Inside, the judge and a sharp-eyed woman in her 60s reviewed the initial documents. My parents' lawyer spoke first. Your Honor, this is a simple family misunderstanding blown out of proportion. The money in question was always intended for family use, which my client was explicitly promised. Carmen interrupted, producing the notarized letter, as evidenced by this legally binding document. The judge examined the paper. This seems quite clear. Why wasn't the promise honored? My mother's lawyer cleared his throat. Changed circumstances required a reallocation of funds. What circumstances? Mom stood up suddenly. Our son gave us a grandchild. We had to secure his future. The judge raised an eyebrow. By breaking a legal promise to your daughter? We had to think about the family legacy, Mom insisted. Your Honor, Carmen said, I'd like to present evidence of systematic financial discrimination based on reproductive choices. She produced Valerie's folder, and I watched my parents' faces pale as their lawyer reviewed the contents. Text messages showing the defendants explicitly tied financial support to childbearing, Carmen continued. Bank records of additional payments made to secure silence about family matters, and documentation of the plaintiff's removal from the family trust, specifically citing her childless status as the reason. The judge turned to my parents. Is this accurate? Dad stood straightening his tie. Your Honor, we only wanted what was best for our family's future. By punishing your daughter for not having children? We didn't punish, Mom began, but the judge cut her off. Mrs. Zimmerman, these messages suggest otherwise, including one where you explicitly state no grandchild, no inheritance. Jessie shifted uncomfortably in his seat. The judge noticed. Mr. Zimmerman, the younger, please approach. Jessie walked to the stand like a man heading to execution. Did you know about the promise made to your sister? Yes, Your Honor. And did you encourage your ex-wife to accept money you knew was promised to someone else? Jessie glanced at our parents. They said it was the right thing to do for Tommy. And the additional payments, the ones to keep quiet about your new relationship while claiming reconciliation? The color drained from his face. Mom gasped. Jessie, she whispered, what is she talking about? Valerie stood up. Show them the beach photos? No need, the judge said. The evidence is clear. This court finds the defendants in breach of contract. She looked directly at my parents. Furthermore, the attempt to coerce reproductive choices through financial manipulation is particularly troubling. Mom's lawyer tried one last time. Your Honor, if we could discuss a settlement. The time for that was before court. The judge turned to me. Ms. Zimmerman, the court rules in your favor. The defendants will pay the promised $250,000 plus legal fees and punitive damages for the discriminatory nature of their actions. This will ruin us, Mom said weakly. You did that yourself, I replied, my voice steady, when you decided your grandchild was worth more than your word. The judge banged her gavel. Court adjourned. Outside, Jessie caught up to me. Ang, wait. I'm sorry, I never meant. Save it. I turned to face him. You know what's funny? I would have helped you if you just asked. But you chose manipulation instead. Like mother, like son, Valerie added, joining us. Mom approached, tears streaming. Angel, please, we can still fix this. No, Mom, we can't. I stepped back. You showed me exactly what family means to you. Now I'm showing you what justice means to me. Dad tried to speak, but Carmen intervened. Any further communication should go through me. As they walked away, Jessie lingered. What happens now? Now? I looked at him, really looked at my big brother who I'd once admired. Now you live with your choices, just like I'm living with mine. Valerie adjusted her purse. Tommy's waiting. Want to grab lunch? I know a great place that serves karma as the special. I laughed, feeling lighter than I had in months. Lead the way. Carmen gathered her files. The payment should come through within 10 days. Ready to go house hunting for real? Actually, I said, watching my family retreat down the courthouse steps, I'm thinking of something bigger. Oh, yeah, something about helping other women stand up to family financial abuse. I turned to Valerie. Interested in being part of it? She grinned. Count me in. As we left the courthouse, my phone buzzed one last time. A text from Mom. You've chosen money over family. I typed back. No, I chose justice over manipulation. There's a difference. Then I walked into the sunlight, leaving the shadows of their expectations behind. Sometimes winning means losing what was already broken, and I was finally ready to build something new from the pieces they left behind. The real estate agent's keys jingled as she opened the door to the modern townhouse. At $640,000, it was more than I'd originally planned to spend, but the court settlement had changed everything. This is definitely more you, Beckett said, running his hand along the sleek kitchen counter. He'd insisted on coming along as my unofficial property advisor. No backsplash drama this time, I joked, but my voice caught slightly. The agent, Sarah, led us upstairs. 3 bedrooms, home office space, and look at this master suite view. The city skyline stretched out before us, all glass and possibility. No colonial charm, no fixer-upper projects, just clean lines and fresh starts. My phone buzzed. Jessie again. Mom's a mess. Dad's talking about selling the house to pay the settlement. I showed it to Beckett, who whistled low. They're still trying to guilt you? Not going to work this time. I turned to Sarah. I'll take it. 2 weeks later, I stood in my new kitchen surrounded by moving boxes and the smell of fresh paint. Carmen arrived with champagne while Valerie brought dinner. To new beginnings, Carmen raised her glass, and to the biggest middle finger I've ever seen in property form. Valerie laughed. Have you told them yet? About the house? No. I pulled out my phone, but I think it's time for that group chat photo. We staged it perfectly, me in front of the house holding the deed, Beckett's arm casually around my waist. The modern architecture made it clear this wasn't some compromised property. This was a power move. I typed. Turns out I gave myself everything. Send it, Valerie urged. I did. The responses came quickly. Mom, is that a boyfriend? Jessie. Nice flex, real mature. Dad, Angel, please call us. I blocked them all before they could send more. Valerie raised an eyebrow. Harsh. Necessary, I corrected. Besides, I have more important things to focus on. I pulled out a folder of paperwork, documents for a new foundation I was starting. The mission? Helping women fight financial manipulation from family members. Speaking of which, Carmen said, reviewing the papers, 3 women have already reached out after hearing about your case. Good. I signed the incorporation documents. Let's help them all. My doorbell rang. Beckett arrived with more champagne and takeout. Hope you don't mind me crashing the party, he said, setting down the bags. Thought you might want company for the other news. What other news? Valerie asked. I pulled up my email. Remember that promotion I was up for? The one Mom said I'd never get because I focused too much on work? Carmen grinned. You got it? Senior Financial Director, I confirmed, with a team of 12. Your mother would hate that, Valerie laughed. Speaking of mothers, my phone buzzed with a voicemail notification. Mom's number. I put it on speaker. Angel, if you'd just given us a grandchild, maybe none of this would have happened. We only wanted what was best for the family name. Now look what you've done. Your father's devastated. Jesse's relationship with Valerie is ruined, all because you couldn't understand what family really means. I deleted it mid-guilt trip. Beckett squeezed my shoulder. You okay? Better than okay. I walked to the floor-to-ceiling windows looking out at my new view. I'm free. Carmen raised her glass again. To freedom. And to chosen family, Valerie added. My phone buzzed one last time. A text from an unknown number. Jesse's new girlfriend. Your brother told me what happened. I'm sorry. Also, I'm pregnant. Thought you should know first. I showed it to Valerie, who burst out laughing. Oh, this is too perfect. Want to bet how long before your parents try to buy her loyalty, too? Not my circus, not my monkeys, I said, but couldn't help smiling, though I do hope she finds her way to our foundation. Beckett moved closer, his hand finding mine. Want to get dinner tomorrow? Just us? I'd like that. Later, after everyone left, I sat in my new home office, looking at the foundation paperwork. The name at the top read, Breaking Chains Foundation, Empowering Women Against Financial Abuse. My phone lit up with a final text from Jessie. The girlfriend told you, didn't she? About the baby? I typed back, yes. Here's some free advice. Try honesty this time. It costs less in the long run. Then I walked through my new home, turning on lights, claiming each space as my own. In the master bedroom, I opened the closet. No trace of the good daughter's conservative clothes. In the kitchen, no traditional patterns or family heirlooms. Just me, my choices, my success. I fell asleep that night to city lights and possibility, dreaming not of the family I'd lost, but of all the women I could help find their own freedom. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just living well, it's helping others live well too. The Foundation's first fundraising gala filled my home with voices and purpose. Women from across the city gathered, sharing stories that echoed my own. Carmen worked the room like a pro while Valerie introduced potential donors to our cause. Another success story, Carmen said, handing me a glass of wine. Remember Lisa from last month? Her parents tried to withhold her inheritance unless she quit medical school to have kids. How's she doing? Started her residency last week. Her case helped us establish another legal precedent. Beckett appeared at my side, looking sharp in his suit. After 3 months of dating, he'd become an unexpected ally in the Foundation's work. Your newest client is here, he whispered, and you won't believe who referred her. I turned to see Jesse's girlfriend, now fiancée, Amanda, walking through my door. Her baby bump was visible under her flowing dress. Angelina? She approached nervously. I hope it's okay that I came. Of course. What's going on? She glanced around before speaking. Your parents offered us money, a lot of money, but there are conditions. Let me guess. Naming rights, private school choices, regular family dinners? She nodded. They want us to cut contact with you too, say you're a bad influence. And Jesse agrees? He's conflicted, but I'm not. She straightened her shoulders. I won't let them control my child's life the way they tried to control yours. Valerie joined us, Tommy running ahead to hug my legs. Welcome to the rebellion, she told Amanda. My phone buzzed, a text from Mom. How dare you turn Amanda against us? This ends now. Perfect timing, Carmen said, reading over my shoulder. Ready to show them what we've built? I nodded. Amanda, would you like to see something interesting? I led her to my office, where a wall displayed photos of women we'd helped, their success stories printed beneath. In the center hung a framed document, my parents' promissory note, now a symbol of breaking free. You're not alone, I told her, and you don't have to choose between money and freedom. Jessie said you'd gone crazy with power, she said quietly, but this is beautiful. My doorbell rang again. Through the security camera I saw them, Mom, Dad, and Jessie, all wearing their best confrontation faces. Let them in, I told Beckett. It's time they saw what their actions created. They burst in, Mom leading the charge, but stopped short at the sight of the crowded house. Women turned to stare, many recognizing them from my viral court case. What is this? Mom demanded. This? I gestured around. This is what happens when you try to buy people's choices. They find their voice instead. Amanda, Jessie called. Let's go. But Amanda didn't move. No, I'm staying. These women understand something you don't. Understanding was never their strong suit, Valerie added, Tommy perched on her hip. Right, Jessie. Dad stepped forward. Angel. Still not my name. Please, he tried again. We can fix this. Come home. I am home. I moved to stand between them and Amanda. And I'm helping others find theirs. By turning our own family against us? Mom's voice cracked. No, by showing them they have choices. I turned to the room. Everyone here has a story about family members using money as control. We're changing that narrative. Carmen appeared with papers. Your latest attempt to pressure Amanda is now documented. Would you like to add financial coercion to your legal troubles? Jessie paled. Amanda, baby, come on. The baby is exactly why I'm staying, she said firmly. I won't let them do to our child what they did to your sister. The room had gone quiet, watching. Mom looked around, finally seeing the wall of photos, the women watching her, the empire her manipulation had built. You've destroyed everything, she whispered. No, Mom, I've built something real. I walked to my office and returned with a document. This is a restraining order. Take it as a hint. You wouldn't, Dad started. Try me. They left, Jessie lingering at the door. The baby shower's next week. Will you come? Ask Amanda what she wants. For once, try listening. After they left, the party resumed. Amanda joined a support group circle, while Valerie shared custody battle strategies. Carmen reviewed new cases, and Beckett brought me fresh wine. You okay? He asked. Better than okay. I watched these strong women filling my home with purpose. I'm exactly where I should be. My phone lit up one last time. A message from Jessie. I'm sorry for everything. Maybe Amanda's right about them, about you. I showed it to Beckett, who smiled. Karma? Justice, I corrected. And it's just the beginning. Looking around my home, at Amanda finding her voice, at Valerie teaching independence, at Carmen building protections, I realized something profound. My parents had tried to buy a legacy through grandchildren. Instead, they'd inspired one through rebellion. I raised my glass to the room full of warriors, to choosing our own paths, to breaking chains, they responded. And in that moment, surrounded by the family I'd chosen and the purpose I'd built, I finally understood. Sometimes the best inheritance isn't what's given to you, it's what you create for yourself.